We lived in a city of Bromberg. It was just on the border where the German wanted to take it in 1939, September 1st of 1939, when the war broke out. I remember with the Poles and the Germans in our town. When they found out that the Germans are coming, the German start fighting with the Poles, and we're the one that suffered. My daddy decided to run away, and we didn't know how to run away. My father gathered my mother and my sister and I. We had nothing to take with us, so there was nothing to carry. We tried to escape toward the river Rhine, where was so we can cross Ukraine, because my mother's brother was there, and we were trying to get a hold of him, and then from there maybe go to the United States or go anywhere just to escape the Nazis. Yeah. We crossed the river, and the Ukrainians caught us on the other side, and they stripped of everything people had. Whatever they had, they stripped everything. They had nothing left, neither did we. We come to the city, and there were people lying on the streets, hungry, begging for food, children. It was awful. It was just awful. We had no money. Daddy had a little bit, and whatever he had, he paid for the bread, which was very, very expensive. There was no food. And he was knocking on doors, from door to door, begging the people so to take me and my sister overnight. But everybody was full. There were people lying on the floors all over. And I remember he knocked on the door, and there was an elderly lady came out. And my daddy told her, "Would you please take my kids, and I'll go to the park. I'll sleep in the park." And it was cold, mind you, at that time. And she looked at my sister and I, and she says, "I have no room for you all." And my daddy started to cry and says, "Just please take these kids. I'll stay outside. I'll go to the park." And evidently she mellowed, and she took me and my sister and gave us her bed for that particular night. I'll never forget that. And we stayed about 3 months together. Somebody gave us a little small shack, and we made a little room, and it was nice. We just were together. Yeah. Then one night there was a knock on the door, and here were the Russians. They accused us of being spies, and they want us to sign papers that we are Bolsheviks. Well, my daddy and mother would not sign it. He says that we're from Poland, and we're Polish. We're not going to sign anything like this. So they said, "If you won't sign it, we're going to send you away." So Daddy says, "Well, you're just going to have to send us away then," which they did. And they sent us to, well, I don't know how you say, but it's Sibirska taiga, which is the Siberian tigers, a jungle, okay? It was an island. There was nowhere you can leave. And the only way you can go or come was by boat. Then after 3.5 months, their ship came, also a freighter, and took us all off, and that's when they sent us to Siberia. It was a little place that only had broken down barracks. There was nothing in it. Broken windows, there was no doors, with just barracks one next to the other, and that's where they sent us. And one morning my daddy couldn't get up. He had fever. He was sick. And then we found out my mother was pregnant. And we couldn't get a doctor for my father. They made him go to work, and he couldn't get up. He had fever. He had pneumonia. And when finally they didn't know what was wrong with him, they finally took him to what you call a little clinic. And the doctor said that he won't live. There's nothing they can do about it. Well, my father died. He was 38 years old. And the child was born 7 days before my father died. We had a little brother. His name was Joseph. He was the most beautiful little thing you've ever seen. He lived a year. When Mother found out that Daddy died, She lost milk on her breast. She had nothing to feed him, and we had nothing to give him. I don't know how the child survived. It's just pure love, I think. And then they told us that we are free, and we had no money. So my sister and I used to go in the daytime to the farmers and look where the potatoes were there. And then at night we'd go and steal it and sell it and accumulate some money. And finally we had enough to get tickets, and we went to Kyrgyzstan. It was tough. It was really tough. We were hungry, lonely, depressed all the time. And then we come home and realized my mama, she was all swollen. She didn't want to live. She didn't care anymore. And we used to walk her and beg and kiss and love her and tell her, we love you. You have to be with us because that's all we have left. And she survived, and we survived. But it was rough. It was really rough.
How did the end of the war find you?
I was in Tashkent. I didn't even know there was the end of the war. And my mother and I escaped. My sister sent papers, supposedly. And we got papers that we can leave and go to Poland, which was also occupied by Russia. But we have escaped, really just escaped. I was working as a nurse in the operating room for 2 years in Haifa. And it was the Bet Holim Italkim, which is the Italian hospital. And after that, yes, I worked. I was all kind of things. I was a maid, I was a waitress, I was everything to survive. And my mother came in 1950 to the United States. My sister was already here, and mother wanted to come to Israel. But I persuaded her to come to the United States. And in 1954, I couldn't leave Israel because I was a nurse, and they wouldn't let me out. So I said, I'm going. And after 6 months, I got papers to come to the United States. And my mother and my sister and good people of Nashville that helped me out, helped my mother out rather, with money, and sent me a ticket.